Welcome back to another beginner-friendly acrylic painting. Today we're going to do a lovely lagoon with some trees, so let's get started. We're going to paint in the Fauve style like we always do, and I'm going to use the same three colors I always use. That's going to be yellow, benzimidazolone yellow, phthalo blue green shade, quinacridone magenta, and titanium white. And everything is in your description that you need to know. So we're going to start with a really pretty kind of pale purple sky. And since we're painting in the tradition of the Fauves, things are going to be a lot more colorful than they would be ordinarily if we were using what's called local color. We're going to be painting some kind of bold colors. So I'm going to put down some titanium white and use that as a basis for my sky. Come about 2/3 of the way down. Looks like I got a little phthalo blue on my brush. That's fine. Come about 2/3 of the way down. Get a little bit of phthalo blue, put that in, and I'm going to add some glazing liquid to my paint. If you're painting where it's very dry, you might need some glazing liquid to keep things from drying up too fast. I like to just dip my brush into it now and then, and it keeps my paint silky. So I'm going to put a little quin magenta into that, get a nice purple going. Let's get a little bit more of that glazing liquid. My brush is dragging, so I can tell that things are drying up a little faster than normal. Just using my number 12 Acrylic and just building up that sky. Big strokes. Wipe my brush and add a little bit more titanium white. Looks like I'm getting a little low. Keep that paint nice and juicy. So we have a nice blended sky. Now as I get down here into the water, I'm going to want it to be a little bluer. So I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm not putting it in the water. I hardly ever put my brush in the water. And I'm going to start with, again, with some titanium white. Giving me the foundation for my ocean here. Now I'll go back into the phthalo blue and I want that ocean to feel bluer than the sky. Little bit of phthalo, a little bit of glazing liquid there, just to keep things workable. And as the water gets closer here, I'm going to give it a little bit more dark here as it comes in closer towards us. Let's get a little bit of titanium white there. Paint's really dragging today. It's getting warm here in Southern California. Make sure I've got everything covered nicely. Let's blend that a little more. Okay, so I've got my sky and my ocean established. I'm going to put my number 12 in the water, and I'm going to pick up my number 8. Make sure it's nice and dry. And now I want to have some rocks out here in the ocean. So I'm going to start with quin magenta. And I'm just going to build these rocks out here. Now they might blend a little bit with what I've already got down on the canvas, but that's going to be fine. They're going to be off in the distance. Be sure you break that horizon line, that they don't land right on the horizon line. And at the edge of the water, make sure you make a straight line for the edge of the water up against the rocks. And then have fun building those rocks. You can do just about anything you want. Now I'll come back with a little Benzimidazolone yellow. And just a tiny bit of titanium white up here at the top, just so we give the idea that there's a little bit of light hitting that at the top. We're not going for three-dimensional reality. That's not what the Fauves were known for. But we do want a little bit of contrast. Okay, there's a nice little rock sitting off there in the edge, away from the foreground, and that just gives us a little bit of contrast there. I'm going to extend it out a little bit because I want it to have a little bit of a feel like it's extending out into the water there. There we go. That's a kind of a nice shaped rock. That'll do just fine. Now in the foreground, we're going to have another rock here. We're going to start with Quin Magenta, and we're just going to build this big rock just really liberally. Have fun with it. It's kind of the star of the show. So you want this nice, rocky, craggy thing here. Just building it up with lots of fun brush strokes. We'll pull in a little phthalo blue as well. I'm going to do some fun stuff with this rock. Okay, so that's just the beginning of our rock. We have lots more to do on our rock. That just gives us the basis for it. Okay, and let that dry. It might mix in a little bit with your ocean, but that's okay because we're going to come back and do some more things to that later. Okay, I'm going to make sure I get all the bottom here. All right, that's a nice rock kind of sticking up out of the ocean. Now let's put in a really cool tree right here. And I'm going to go to my number 6 for this because I want to have a lot of control over this tree. And the number 6 makes a really nice line. I want it dark. I want my tree trunk to be dark. So I'm going to take some phthalo blue and a little bit of Quin Magenta, and I'm just going to make a dark purple. It almost probably looks black on the screen. And I want this tree to be about here. So I'm just going to start right here and pull down just like that. And let's give it a couple of limbs. And some over here. Just this one lone tree out on the rocks, which is kind of cool and dramatic. Okay, I think that's good enough for our tree trunk and tree limbs. Now let's go to our fan brush. And make sure when you're using your fan brush that it's nice and dry. I just pulled mine out of the water, so I want to make really sure that it's nice and dry. So I'm going to blot it really well with my paper towel. Really well. Okay, pretty dry, good and dry. Now, I am going to go for a pink tree. I mean, in true Fauve tradition, let's go for bright color. I'm going to put my Quin Magenta. Let's get a little titanium white in that. We do want it dark enough that it stands up to our sky. So let's see if this is dark enough. And using that fan brush, Start being sparse, don't use too much. You're gonna always fill in later, but start with it being just a little bit. Let's see if this is dark enough. I think that's gonna work just fine. And just pounce that. Pounce it in different directions, but err on the side of caution. You don't want to overdo it too much. Let's get the shape nice and rounded up here. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I think we're going to leave our tree just like that for the time being. I'm not going to put my fan brush in the water because I need it for something else. Now I'm going to come down here to this dark area that we painted, and we are going to put some foliage there that's really going to make that area pop. So let's get, I've got kind of a pink on my fan brush. So I'm going to go into the yellow, and with that pink on there, I'm going to get a sort of an orange. Let's lighten that up with some titanium white. Make sure we get plenty of that on our brush. Now let's take a little tiny bit off, tap your brush just a little bit, and let's go right into this area here. And so what we're doing basically is we're putting down a complementary color on top of that dark, and that dark serves as a background to hold this lighter color. And very important that we have that background there. You have to do that background painting first, or this area won't work at all. A little bit more. Don't go crazy. Leave lots of that space. Leave lots of the background colors showing. Now I'm going to wipe my brush, get most of that color off, and I'm going to go right into the titanium white with nothing else. Tap it a little bit. I don't want it too heavy. It won't be a stark white because we've got some of that orange on our brush, but it'll be light enough to show. So we'll just do a few of those, and again, err on the side of caution with that. And see, now you've got some really nice foliage under that tree. Now we've got this light color on our fan brush. Let's go back to our white, get a little bit of that pink. We want it really light. Make sure it's not too heavy. And let's get a little bit of that up in our tree. Just to give our tree some dimension. Let's try and go just a little bit lighter. A couple of places. Just so our tree has some dimension, just like our ground cover does. Okay. Okay, well, you don't want to overdo it. Whatever you do, don't overdo it. Now, let's go back to our number 6. And I just want to touch up my tree trunk a little bit. I'm going to go into the phthalo blue. I'm going to grab a little tiny bit of titanium white, just to make it a tiny bit lighter. And the thing about these colors like quinacridone magenta and phthalo blue, they are modern pigments, so they tend to be transparent. So when you paint with them, sometimes you'll have to come back and do another layer. So I just want to make sure my tree is dark enough. I'll first put down that color, then I'll come back with a little bit more. of that phthalo blue, just to make sure my tree comes across as dark enough. Okay, well that is a very simple, beginner-friendly acrylic painting and a nice tree in the ocean, sort of in the Fauve style. I hope you liked that. Be sure that you hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. And don't forget what I always say, keep painting.